We begin 13 News at 4 with breaking news we have been following all afternoon from the Vatican. A momentous day, a new pope elected, the first American pope in the history of the Catholic Church. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Dustin Grove.
And I'm Felicia Lawrence. Robert Prevost is 69 years old and a member of the Augustinian religious order. And he took the name Leo the 14th. Pope Leo is from Chicago. He's also a Peruvian citizen and lived for years in Peru, first as a missionary and then as an archbishop.
And happening right now, the Indianapolis Archdiocese is holding a news conference on the new pope. This is at Saints Peter and Paul Cathedral. Let's listen in for a minute.
For my missionary friends in Africa and in Germany and Italy, and just, congratulating on our first American pope. So it's a great pride.
What does it say that the church has turned to a pope so-called from a superpower nation?
I guess it's part of one of the reasons why I didn't see it coming. They've always said, they're called the rule of thumb was always because America was such a world power on that stage that we probably wouldn't see an American pope. But as I was reading earlier today, there's a lot of other powers at play as well. And again, the Pope, the cardinals got together and identified what are the needs. What are the first thing they did over these 9 days as they mourned the death of the previous Pope, Pope Francis. They were also discerning what are the needs, what do we need to be focusing on, and then who had those gifts. And whether it was an American or African or French or Italian or Portuguese or whatever, they were looking for the person that had those particular gifts to meet those particular challenges at this particular time. And I think that's what they look for regardless of what his nationality happened to be.
The Pope literally speaks the same language as President Trump. The Pope stands for...
All right, we've been listening into Indianapolis Archbishop Charles Thompson talking about the selection of a new pope today, 69-year-old Robert Prevost, originally from Chicago. And as soon as we heard about the new leader of the Catholic Church, Felicia, you went straight to St. John's Parish this afternoon, right?
Yes, and celebratory bells were ringing as the downtown Catholic Church wrapped their noon mass. We actually caught up with Father Rick Nagel, who was just learning the news alongside us. I ended up watching our Channel 13 live stream with Father Rick as the entire world watched as Pope Leo the 14th was announced. Now, Father Rick says his schedule for the day now looks different as they celebrate within his church and think of what to hear. They wait to hear from the Archdiocese of Indiana.
Now he's saying, hey, do not be afraid to follow Christ faithfully and live the gospel without fear. And I think that's just a beautiful first words for all of us. And he really is saying to the whole world, God loves you. No matter if you're Catholic or whatever faith tradition you may follow or not, God loves you all. So that's a beautiful message to start a papacy.
And he was just so excited. He says he and his team will wait to hear from the Archbishop. In the meantime, they'll continue preparing for this Sunday, Mother's Day. And it was just so exciting. You heard the bells ringing. He said he had to look up in the manual to see what's the protocol of how to announce a new pope. I mean, what do we do here in this case? Because it doesn't happen that often. And to watch him watch the news alongside
to be in that moment
him,
was certainly remarkable, I'm sure.
Really, really cool. And so that was a first time for myself. I'm not Catholic, but I am a believer. And obviously this is something that a lot of people take seriously, not just the 1.4 billion Catholics around the world, but, folks right here in Indianapolis, which is very cool to see.
Certainly. And the fact that he is an American pope, the first in the history of the Catholic Church, certainly has people talking.
Yes. And we have more of that coming up in 13 News at 5. We're going to hear a little bit more from Father Rick, what the next few days could look like for him, because we have a big Sunday coming up for a lot of different reasons.
Mother's Day.
Yes, yes. So we're also hearing from some young Catholics about this historic day. Here's a group of 8th graders from Indianapolis on a field trip to Washington, D.C. And they happened to be inside one of the city's churches as the announcement came down. So you'll actually hear from them coming up tonight on 13 News at 5.
We're joined now by Ray Habersky with Indiana University, Indianapolis School of Liberal Arts. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, my pleasure.
So you have been watching, you've studied American history and religion. You've been watching the conclave. Your thoughts on this first ever American Pope?
Yeah, it's very exciting. I actually don't think many of us imagined it was going to be an American. And this is probably a wise choice because he has been both in the United States, born in Chicago, but has lived outside the United States and Latin America. So it's it's an interesting choice, bit of a surprise, but yeah, it's fascinating.
What's interesting about it, do you think?
So, I mean, it may seem kind of a compromise. He's sort of moderate, he's quiet, but he was close to Francis. He was given positions by Francis to do things with other bishops. So I think he is seen somewhat as an insider, someone who gets along with a lot of the people who he'll need to work with across the church. He's not very controversial in any particular way. He's got a few problems, but nothing that's really outstanding.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was watching the coverage this afternoon. Former ambassador to the Vatican, Indiana's own Joe Donnelly, said this man clearly impressed the cardinals relatively quickly and faster than he thought. Do you agree with that?
Right. It is unusual, I think, for a conclave to end this fast, but I think we also have an idea of in popular culture that the conclave goes on for a long time and there's a lot of intrigue. So we don't know what was going on behind the scenes. And I guess we'll find out as the days, in the coming days, whether or not this was a choice that many of the cardinals had already lined up behind. And again, the thing that makes him interesting is that Francis has chosen most of the cardinals who voted for this new pope, right? So the majority of the people there right now who are voting were chosen by the past pope. So it's not shocking, I think, that this is the choice.
Why do you think this captivates all of us, even those who are not Catholic?
Yeah.
Just the incredible amount of interest. We saw the crowds at the Vatican of all ages. There were some IU students studying abroad who were right there in Vatican Square. What is it about this, do you think?
Yeah, it must be. I've never been to one, but it must be incredibly exciting to be part of it. Part of it, what you see on TV is a sense of it. It's all these people connected by this one event. And they're connected through this one choice. And there are so few, I would say, legitimate global leaders. I mean, the United States is a bit in trouble right now, that electing a new pope sort of feels very consequential for the world, even if you're not Catholic. And because this is a pope who will lead over 1 billion people, right, in the Catholic Church, there's, again, some legitimacy to the idea of being a global leader. So I think that's part of the sense, the excitement that you would see reflected, around the square that's outside of St. Peter's. Yeah.
So what is next, do you think? What will we see next?
You'll probably have a very short window of cardinals giving some interviews, and there'll be some news stories out about who this person is and sort of perhaps a very brief agenda. But again, I think he's pretty quiet. And so I don't think he's going to come out with a pronouncement that will sort of excite anybody or push the papacy in any particular direction right now. He kept talking about peace in his initial speech, so that may be one of the things that he talks about. This is certainly a time of war, and he will probably address that.
All right, Chicago's very own Pope Leo XIV. I want to know if he's a Sox or Cubs fan.
What do you think?
Time will tell. Ray Habrisky with IU, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, no problem.
And while it's been a very active news day, we've also had an active radar this afternoon watching a line of storms that's very slow moving. And because of that, they're not necessarily severe, not producing gusty winds or large hail. There's been some small hail that's been possible, but they're moving so slowly that a couple of flash flood warnings had been issued for the southeastern part of Shelby County, also the southern part of Putnam County. But thankfully, those storms are at least moving a bit, enough that we're going to keep watching those as they do drift farther to the south. But those that get the rain are going to get a lot of heavy rain. Those that aren't seeing rain right now, you're probably not going to see any. Temperatures currently 60s and 70s. A little bit of rain cooling has occurred here. Maybe a chance that you'll drop down briefly into the 50s before rebounding, but I don't think you're going to make it to the 50s until later tonight, and then probably dropping into the 30s and 40s overnight. So a chill in the air for tonight. But tomorrow we do warm back up close to 70 degrees, plenty of sunshine, and wait until you see this Mother's Day weekend forecast I have for you this weekend. I'll have that for you coming up.
Thank you, Rob. And now to startling accusations against a former daycare worker in Brownsburg.
And today that daycare was forced to close. Police arrested 22-year-old Gabriel Garner for child molestation and child exploitation. Authorities said the daycare's owner and general manager allegedly did not report the incidents at Main Street University for Kids. Brownsburg police now working with DCS. Tomorrow, Garner is expected to be in court and we will be there. Police are asking any families right now who think their child may have been a victim of abuse to call the DCS hotline. And we've got that number on your screen right there, 1-800-800-5556.
To Hamilton County now, a ruling on whether or not to waive a teen to adult court for his alleged role in a deadly crash. That has been delayed until May 29th. The accused teen is now 18 but was 17 at the time of the crash. He appeared in court this morning for a hearing on accusations of reckless homicide and reckless driving in the March 1st crash that killed 18-year-old Mason Alexander. Alexander was a Hamilton Southeastern High School star athlete who had just started playing football at the University of Pittsburgh. Alexander was a passenger in the car that struck on a tree on Florida Road. Lawyers for the driver are being given more time to prepare arguments on why the case should not be moved to adult court. About 20 family and friends of Alexander attended the brief hearing.
Our hearts are still heavy. They're going to be heavy for a long time. Mason had a bright future. It's unfortunate for everybody involved because this is an incident that surely could have been avoided. But also, through all of this, we want to make sure behaviors are changed.
All right, that was from Mason's uncle there. The teen will remain in a juvenile detention center until his next court hearing. More 13 News at 4 ahead. The U.S. and U.K. announced a major trade deal today. The financial impact to consumers here in America. Rich?
It's loud because we are at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway with race cars on the track. Going the wrong way? Well, it's the road course this weekend. And when the Indy cars take the track tomorrow, everyone will be stopping, trying to stop this guy, or at least catch him. Alex Palou, will he dominate another race? We'll talk about it next with the series leader.